friends. Welcome to episode 247 of School Librarians United. I am your host, Amy Herman. This podcast is dedicated to the issues and challenges school librarians face every day. As a school librarian in my 17th year, I knew I wanted a podcast which addressed the nuts and bolts of running a successful library program. I don't claim to have the answers, but I hope that this is a platform to share resources and exchange ideas. Now is a perfect time to mention that all the ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast by myself, my interview guests, and listeners who reach out to the podcast are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. When incorporating research, I always make sure to cite my sources. So whether you are a novice or a veteran school librarian, this podcast is something for you. This week, I had the good fortune to be able to attend AASL23 in Tampa. The American Association of School Librarians National Conference occurs every other year, and I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank the conference co-chairs Amanda Jones and Paige Battle and the entire conference committee for all their hard work. Thank you, Courtney Pentland, President of the American Association of School Librarians, and Emily Drabinski, President of the American Library Association. It was wonderful to see our presidents of both these organizations supporting this celebration of school librarians gathering in Florida. It is worth mentioning that the current attacks on librarians and our collections have been especially brutal in Florida. So it was very timely to have more than 2,000 school librarians coming together at the Right to Read rally on Friday night. I'd like to give a very special shout out to my co-presenters, Casey Boyd, Amanda Jones, Courtney Pentland, Steve Tatro, and Stephanie Charlefort. I will be including all these resources as well as the Idea Share, which I participated in this past Thursday. You'll definitely want to make time for all the resources in today's show notes. I wanted to also make sure you knew that I was extending invitations to many of the presenters who were at the conference this past week and asked if they would like to join us in recording an episode to share with our listening community. More than anything, this conference was an amazing opportunity to connect in person with so many of my PLN who have always been a virtual source of support. We have all been so accustomed to that it is a rare chance to be in the same space with all these school librarians, and it was really such a treat. And lastly, I would like to go on record and say that, in fact, I did not get a tattoo at the tattoo convention, which was also conveniently being hosted in the same convention center as AASL. But I was more than happy to accompany my friends, many of whom decided to commemorate this year's AASL with a tattoo. This conference will next be hosted in St. Louis, Missouri in 2025, and while that may seem like a long ways off, remembering back to AASL21 in Salt Lake City, I will guarantee you that time will fly. I welcome you and all listeners to reach out with your feedback and episode suggestions. You can reach me either on Facebook, on X, formerly known as Twitter. My handle is at LMS_United, or the email address schoollibrariansunited@gmail.com. If you include your mailing address, I'll be sure to send you a podcast sticker. Be sure to listen to episode 224. I announce a sponsorship with Literati Book Fairs. And now is a chance to hear from one of Literati's team members, Jenny. Jenny Powell, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Amy.
Hey, I am so grateful. You have given us such a insider look and sort of behind the scenes to have a better understanding of what you do for Literati, but would you give us a better understanding of how the visual elements of a Literati Book Fair make it a unique experience both for the kids and for the librarians?
Yes, of course. So not all fairs have themes. This is something that we as Literati will continue to do and feel very strongly about. A new visual theme every season helps kids feel like it's a different fair season after season. And each season also has its own unique illustrator that brings the theme to life on all of the bookcases and posters and bookmarks and pre-fair materials that we provide. There's an immense amount of artistic craft that goes into making all the materials we produce because we want to make our fairs as transformative as possible while keeping everything extremely easy to set up and manage from a librarian's perspective.
Well, and I imagine for our littlest shoppers, many of whom this is one of their first opportunities to really sort of use that independence to go and do some shopping, that you're trying to balance, this exciting experience with something that's familiar. And they feel comfortable going to that book fair because they feel, yes, I feel supported here. This is a space that was created with me in mind.
Yes, definitely.
That's wonderful. Jenny, thank you so much. I really, truly appreciate it because I know many school librarians, when we are investing our time in having a fundraiser, that it is so important to know that it's going to be successful and that professionals like yourself have done all the work, getting ready so that we can have a truly successful fundraiser each and every time.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Friends, be sure to tune in and learn all about Literati and their very generous offer. Librarians who book their very first Literati Book Fair for this year and mention the code UNITED when booking may qualify to receive a $500 gift card to Titlewave. Visit the link in today's show notes and call the Literati team to see if you qualify. And now a word from our sponsor, Capstone. Capstone is an innovative publisher and education technology provider of children's content for school libraries, classrooms, and at-home learning. Home of the award-winning PebbleGo research database, Capstone has a passion for creating inspired learning and intellectual curiosity in children, and I'm so excited to be working with them. I am grateful to Capstone for their continued commitment to support the podcast in Season 6. They are offering listeners of School Librarians United a very special discount. Visit shop.capstonepub.com and use the code UNITED to get $20 off an order of $100 or more for both print and Capstone interactive ebooks. That's code UNITED for $20 off an order of $100 or more for both print and ebooks on shop.capstonepub.com. And now for our episode, AASL23, and my conversation with some of the attendees at the conference. Tell me, what is your name and what grade you are, and what is something that you absolutely love about Mrs. Rendina's library and Makerspace?
I don't mean to sound biased, but I have been at Tampa since 6th grade. I'm a junior now, 6 years through school. And I'm Robbie Bland. And one great thing about the library, Miss Rendina, is she's always been a friend. She's standing right next to me. And she's just great. And I've always felt welcomed and heard and validated and wanted in the library. And now, as a member of the leadership committee, I get to have a voice. And that is just a lot of power for me. So,
Well, and can I just say right now, listeners, never did you mention anything about the stuff she has in the library, because your library is full of a lot of things, including a makerspace, and you simply just talked about how great she is as a person and a staff member at your school. I love that.
Hello, my name is Evelyn. I'm a 9th grader, and something I really love about the program that we have is kind of going off of what Robbie said. We all get a voice, we all get to share our opinions, we all get to add what we want to the library, and that's something that's very important to me. She asks us what we want to see, and then she makes it happen, and that's something that's super incredible.
Wow. I wish all librarians should be able to hear these wonderful things that they think about us.
Hello, my name is Anaya Feroz. I am a junior, and my favorite part about the library that Ms. Rendina has created is the sense of comfort that it has invoked. There's a place for everyone in the library, whether you just want to read a book, you want to talk with some friends, and just in general, the whole vibes that Ms. Rendina has created in the library makes it a place for everyone.
#library vibes.
I'm Sam. I'm in 9th grade. I agree with the others. I really think the library is a place of comfort, and I like that we all have a voice in what books we get to see and what displays and what Maker Days, just anything in the library that we want to see, we get to pitch in about.
Okay, I'm going to go around the circle again, and now you have to tell us, what is something that brings you to the library when we talk about the stuff? Because Mrs. Rendina has to decide how to spend that money every single year. What are the kinds of things that you go, you know what, when I go to Mrs. Rendina's library, this is the kind of stuff I want to see. How about you?
there are some really fancy chairs in the library. There's some really good chairs.
More specifically, what is it about these chairs that you really like?
They go up and down. How do I do that?
Excellent. So the seating has to be adjustable. Thank you very much. My friend here is quite tall, and I am quite short, so I can see where this would have some value to you. What kind of stuff do you like in the library?
I like the organization of where all of the books are. It's very easy to find them all, and where they're all labeled, they're all color coordinated. It's just a super navigatable system.
All right, emphasis on student access. All right, what is it that brings you to the library when we talk about stuff?
Well, going off of my idea earlier about the library having a place for everyone, like it has a writing center, which has a place for people to collaborate with others, and there's different tables with signs that say what kind of level you have to be speaking at. So if people want to work on stuff quietly, then they have that ability. But if they want to collaborate with friends, they have that ability. So the place for everyone.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, stuff. What is it that you like that's in the library? It's not just your sparkling personality that you see every day in the library, but what is it that brings you to the library?
I really like the Idea Lab because it's a place to hang out, but also it's a place to be where it's really comforting to be there, and not just in the library, but another area. And also, I love the graphic novels. It's a really broad selection of books.
Diana, you have created an amazing space that is regarded not only by the students who love you, but also by professionals who look to you as an example of what we can do to support our students best. Let me ask you, what is it that you are looking to do moving forward? Because you have already created this fantastic space.
Yeah, so moving forward, I just want to continue to make the space to bring more student voice into our space, into our collection, into the way that we change the space. We're looking at a renovation in a couple of years. And that's part of why we created this group, was to get more student voice and input into our library space.
And friends, anytime you go to a national conference, you're going to be losing your voice.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it sounds like you're going to be taking a lot of what your students tell you and working with your administration.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've already kind of gotten a lot of good input, and I'm heading in to get more ideas from the conference.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, everybody at Tampa Preparatory School, you guys are in great hands. All right, and I'm so grateful, Diana, that you're here to make sure that we learn from your example.
Thank you, Amy.
Robin Thompson. I'm in Richmond Hill, Georgia, and I'm at McAllister Elementary as our pre-K fifth grade.
Fantastic. Well, let me ask you, what is it that you want to share with listeners today?
My favorite new EdTech tool would have to be novel effects. Even though I pride myself on being a great storyteller, adding those soundscapes, they are engrossed. And so they're constantly listening for suggestions, and the kids, they want to make sure they have a soundscape if we're going to have a story.
And forgive me, but you also have that sound going through, say, your sound system in your space, or just your phone.
I have a $5 speaker, and and her voice is very sweet. They thought it was an Alexa. It's not Alexa. We named her Honey Bunny. So is it a Honey Bunny book? Yes, this is a Honey Bunny book.
So forgive me, but I know that there are free, and then there's a paid subscription. Do you have the paid subscription?
I do, for every teacher in our school. I budget for that. So the entire school, I pay for them to have out of my budget, because all the teachers love it. And so every teacher, every admin at our school, I budget for it, and they love it. So second year.
Can I ask, because listeners are going to want to know, do you feel that they're adding some more content?
You can always, if you type in a book and it's not there, it says make a suggestion, and you'll immediately type title, author, and why. And I'm like, because it's good. I mean, you can put in every day that app updates, and you will see your book possibly the next day or the next 2 or 3 days. They're constantly making soundscapes. And they've even gotten videos of how they make the soundscapes now. So my kids are enthralled with that, because they always wondered who did the voices and how they made the background noises, and they love it.
Okay, one last question, because I'm curious. When you go to the books in your library, how can teachers find out which the books you have? Is there some sort of indicator in your catalog or on the book itself?
Yeah, so with our subscription, we receive stickers. I think we got 1,000 stickers. So I sticker those books so the teachers know, the kids know. If the parents want it, then they know how to get to it to get that subscription if they want it for home. But yes, the subscription came with the stickers, and we have it on all the books that have that. And I can order more if I need to.
But it sounds like all you can do, this attributes to building a culture of reading in your building. All of a sudden, everybody's excited, and I imagine it's worth the price of a subscription.
It is so worth it. I mean, that's the one thing we evaluated everything we subscribed to, and that was the one thing in a teacher survey they said, please keep us.
Well, and making your stakeholders happy, making the parents happy, the students happy, your teachers happy, this sounds like a win. You know, Robin, I'm so glad you joined us today. I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Tara Thomas. I am the ECLS librarian at Hutchinson School in Memphis, Tennessee.
And, you know, you and I are meeting for the first time in person, but 200 episodes ago, in season 2, you contributed to an episode about the future of our biography sections. I am so grateful because you said yes when I think I had done a handful of interviews with folks. I can't tell you how much that means to me, that vote of confidence.
It was amazing. I remember sharing with you that I would listen to it through the radios because it was kind of cool to hear myself. But it was a really great way for me to process what was going on in my library for biographies as well.
Well, and I know a lot of other people need to hear those affirmations because we're all second-guessing ourselves when we do things because we usually work in isolation. And then to hear another librarian echo something that makes perfect sense to us. We don't have a team on site for us to ask. So let me ask you, you're here at this conference. I'm so glad you're here. Would you tell me, what are some things that have become really important to you? We haven't caught up in a couple of years, so thank you very much. Last time we touched base was in the fall of 2019. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you. But would you give me an idea, what are some things that have really become important to you in the field of librarianship and especially in the work that you do?
Sure. So based back on that previous episode, biographies are still super important, making sure that students feel seen, they get full picture stories in the biography sections, and that they're just not the dusty old books from back in the day. They're doing great work with biographies. But also in the fiction section, I have them from 2 years old all the way up to 9 years old. And so that's the prime time to get them excited about reading, again, making sure they feel seen in the characters that they experience and the stories that they experience. So that's my main goal, to make sure that all of the students that I have, no matter what their background is, what their family is, that they see themselves in my space.
Oh, that's absolutely inspiring. And friends, you'll be sure we'll put a link in the show notes. But I'm so glad that you stopped to talk with us today. I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Absolutely. Thank you for stopping and letting me speak to you today.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Merletta. I work for Marietta High School Library. I'm one of 2 librarians there. I'm in my second year as a librarian. It's a second career change for me, and I don't know why I waited so long to do it, because it is fabulous. And it's even more fabulous because my co-librarian has just made things wonderful for me.
All right, let's hear from your co-librarian. I got to tell you, you're kind of like unicorns in our library world. Like this is like never happened before. Okay, please introduce yourself and tell us where you are in your career.
My name is Laura Gary Mitchell. I'm at the same library as Jen. I am in year 15 and I've been at the high school library for 13 years. And we are very fortunate that our administrator has sent us here together this week to come to all these conferences. We have very specific goals together today. And we have very specific goals together when we're in our library. It's kind of weird. We are definitely, I feel like soulmates in the library world. We do. We care for the kids the same way. We read the same books. Her strength is technology. Mine is books to a certain extent. So we work really well together.
It's like a library yin and yang.
Yeah.
All right, so, Jennifer, give me a little bit of a sense. This must have been a little daunting. You're coming into a space where somebody already is, but again, we have very strong feelings about what's important to us. But tell us a little bit about how you make this marriage work when it comes to being in this space together and trying to make sure that you support your school every day.
That is a great, great question and statement. And that is the goal, is that we're supporting our students, we're supporting our school. Every day we come in, there's a lot of compromise and a lot, even more communication. So we are always on the same page. If we have questions, we quickly resolve whatever issues those are. We have common goals that we're working towards. And like Laura said, when one of us is handling business in one way, the other one's picking up the slack in another way. And we just have really worked it out over the last year. But we have been very fortunate that we just work really well together.
I'm just so jealous right now. Laura, tell us, you had this sort of, library. Did you have this library to yourself before, or you did have somebody working prior? So you have Jennifer coming in. How are you making sure that there's some consistency in what you can do, but you also allow for all those new ideas and to find their way into your programming?
I think how we have been doing that is by just sitting down and talking about what we both want to see done. And we talk about it and we discuss. And yeah, she brings so much to this floor and so much to the table that I didn't have in there before, especially her relationships with the other teenagers that are there. So it's been, that's how we work together. We just talk it out and do some planning together.
Well, and you can't deny the fact that your administrator values you. You're both here. It would have been so easy for your administrator to say, all right, and I could have seen the administrator doing this, we're going to take turns, that you are going to one of you holds down the fort. We don't need to get a sub for you. I could just see this happening. But tell us a little bit about what kinds of things you are a spout of in your space.
I will say in our space, I'm especially proud of our collection of books. I'm especially proud that we have created, especially at the hands of Laura over the years, a safe space for vulnerable students. And because all the students in the school know that it's a safe space, they come visit us, readers, non-readers alike. And then that gives us the opportunity to love on them and encourage them to read, which is my favorite.
It sounds like you probably tag in and out. I'm sure it sounds like you get a dedicated lunch because you've got somebody who can. Do you stagger when you're on and when you're off, or when the space is open? So how does this work? Give me an idea of what this looks like if I were to walk into your space right now.
Ideally, we wish we could stagger, but we both love being around the kids so much. We don't take lunch. We eat lunch with them on the floor. I mean, it's constantly busy. Lunch is where we see our most students. But if we are working on something special, like if we're collaborating with a teacher, we have a lesson, one will be on the floor and the other one will go back into the office to work on the lesson. But we do stagger that way. But when the kids are in the library, we both want to be there with them. It's really hard-pressed. When I have to go back to that, I'm like, is it okay if I go? And Jen's like, go, Jen. But I'm jealous because she's out there still talking to me and stuff. So we've made it work for sure. Yes, but it's not as perfect as we want it to be with taking care of ourselves. Like, self-care is not something that is coming first with us right now, definitely. No.
I can't imagine there's anything you need to do to improve upon what you're already providing to your schools. But please share, do you have a goal in mind? Because when you come here, a lot of times school librarians have like a to-do list or what I want to learn about at this conference. Can I ask, what is something that you're hoping to build out because you're here at this conference, ready to learn?
So it would be artificial intelligence and how it can apply to the classrooms, how it can apply to the library, how it can apply to us to make our lives easier. It is fabulous. Nobody should be scared of it, and we need to all learn more about it.
How about you, Laura?
Well, that is one of my goals, and we also have another goal. We're trying really hard to work with our parents and with our students and banning books and teaching them about it. We're definitely here to learn a lot about that and to see what kind of support issues, our support organizations that are here to help us with that.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great conference.
Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing more of your podcast.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Serrano. I am a librarian and a director of diversity equity.
Whoa, wait. So you have dueling roles. Please explain how that works in your day.
Well, when they created the wall, I thought that was a perfect fit because so much of my work in the library is to make an inclusive space and to encourage myself and students to learn about things outside their world. Really fits well with the DEI role as well.
Your school is so imaginative, but also look at how they've been able to marry the two responsibilities that you have in a space that impacts the entire school. So can you give us some ideas of what are the kinds of programs that you would offer supporting both your school library, but also your DEI building initiatives?
Well, one big project that we've been working on, especially in the middle school, is a class called Racial Literacy and Digital Citizenship. and kind of teaching kids how to look at the news, look at media, look at their experience online, and interpret it and understand it in a way that makes them global citizens. And it's a class that I help support with another teacher. And that's one of the reasons I'm here at AASL, to get more tools to help talk about media literacy, but also through the lens of racial literacy.
It seems like you've got so many opportunities now to collaborate with your teachers, both as a librarian and DEI coordinator. You know, that component of collaboration really sometimes takes a little bit of effort on our part, because not everybody sees its value. But all of a sudden, you check off two very important sort of areas in which we need to build if our schools are to support all of our students. You know, can you give us an idea of something that your students really enjoy doing that really does represent this sort of two goals that you have, both as librarian and DEI coordinator?
I think one thing that we learned is that celebration is a big key part of our DEI work. So often, and I myself, when I started, got stuck on education, which is very important, but was missing the key element of celebration. And the library is such a great place to do that, making sure that our books and our materials represent all of our students, and teens finding pride in finding their identities in the books and then getting to share it with others. Middle schoolers reading those books to lower school. It's a really beautiful thing.
Lindsay, I'm so glad you stopped by. Thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Thank you. So great to meet you. I love your podcast.
So I'm Caitlin Bryans, and I am an elementary teacher librarian in the Finger Lakes region of New York State. And I serve K through fifth graders. It's a fixed schedule where I see them once a week. And I guess my favorite way to collaborate is I make sure that my schedule has common planning time with each grade. And I build in a monthly meeting.
Sounds to me like you're taking an initiative that it would never occur to me. I mean, just this idea of like, oh, and by the way, we will be meeting, and this is when I can meet, and let's get everybody on the same page, on the same calendar. I love that. Do you have something of an agenda when you go there, or are you just, how do you do a meeting like that?
Sure. So first of all, my school also has common planning time for each grade level, so that makes it really simple to get in with them. And then when we go, I am bringing in all my documents of the standards that I need to meet and our curriculum. And then I'm also looking at their curriculum. And so it's very informal, and I have a great relationship with the teachers. So for the last 10 years, we've been doing this.
Caitlin, your school is so lucky to have you. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am really grateful you shared with us today.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure.
My name is Gretchen Zaitsev. I'm the District Library Media Specialist for Canyons District, near Sandy, Utah.
Oh my gosh. So this is so fantastic. So when we did AASL23, we were in your backyard. I got to tell you, you have a beautiful stage.
It's amazing, especially in the fall. And we just had a storm that brought in some snow. So we were out in like 3 seasons in one day.
I was able to go on a hike, and I did bring some of your Utah dirt back on the bottom of my shoes. And for quite a while, I was like, oh, look, I was in Utah, and there's my evidence of my hiking. So, Gretchen, I'm curious, tell us what you do every day, because you are not in a school library.
So what I do every day is problem solve and preserve democracy.
Is that all you do?
Yeah.
So listeners are going to want to know, again, what does that look like? Because it sounds ambitious, it sounds admirable, but what does that look like?
Well, for us, it looks like making sure that students have access to the stories and information that can be life-changing and life-saving, and also that our policies are legally and constitutionally.
Wow. And where do you even start? Because tell us how many schools you are supporting in your school district.
So we have 41 schools. We have 28 elementary schools, 13 secondary schools, and some alternative and special schools.
That's incredible. So when you look at your everyday, you're sort of putting out fires, you've got librarians reaching out to you. May I ask what kinds of obstacles and issues are being brought to you from the schools that you support?
We're constantly reevaluating our collections. I had an opportunity to share the condition of our elementary collections with our school board. And in response to the data that was shared, they've gifted our school libraries $1.2 million. And so we have spent a lot of time doing what we call the Great Library Update of 23-24, which has been a lot of removing of old titles and purchasing and curating newer, more up-to-date collection.
You know, it sounds like the school librarians of Utah are well supported. It sounds like a space where they can feel that they have your support when they are going to their jobs every day. Gretchen, I am so glad you stopped by, and thank you so much for being a part of today's podcast.
Well, thank you for allowing me to have this time with you. I'm a big fan, and so it's been a pleasure.
You know, your school librarians could listen to the show for professional development, right?
Of course, and I would definitely encourage.
Have a great conference, Gretchen.
Thank you, and thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Debbie. I go by Debbie, she, her. I work in an elementary library. It is very, very small. It is the size of probably the size of a walk-in closet in a mansion. Okay, so it's pretty small for a library. My population is very high trauma, very low income, a lot of foster kids, a lot of just a lot of trauma. And this year, my goal is to get those kids to read, but they're not going to read if there's so much going on in their heads that they can't have the mental space to do that. So my goal is to beef up my makerspace so that they can have a moment to chill, relax, calm down, and create that headspace that they need in order to be able to read. And so far, it's working.
Well, and I think that anytime kids can do something to sort of distract themselves in a creative way, all of a sudden, you're going to find them being very vulnerable and willing to just talk. I think that's a wonderful strategy, and your students are so lucky to have you. So let me ask you, when it comes to supporting your teachers, have you been able to sort of work with them as well to support them in what they're doing?
Not yet. This is my third year at the school, and a lot of the teachers who work at the school chose to work at the school because they themselves came from a very high trauma environment and high trauma childhood. And they don't see the library as a useful resource because they never had that escape. So they don't know what it can do. So now that this is my third year, and I am considered a specialist, I am one of the teachers' breaks, and I see the kids every week. And many of them have gone from my first year hating it to now saying that I am their favorite. And the teachers are starting to pick up on it, and now they're starting to be wanting to collaborate. So it's taken me 3 years to get here, and it will hopefully continue to grow and continue to blossom.
You know, I really hope that you celebrate every win, albeit small, because like you, I'm in a building, I've been there for 3 years, and every time I have an opportunity to just find a way to collaborate, it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be a complete overhaul of a curriculum, but anytime people realize and we can raise that profile of what we do, our school is always going to be rewarded for having a school librarian in their space. I'm so glad that you stopped by today. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here tonight.
Hi, my name is Beth, and I'm from Hudson, New Hampshire, and I'm in a middle school, 6th through 8th grade. I serve about 700 and some odd kids and staff and all that good stuff. Right now, the book series I can't keep on the shelf and keep it Stopper 1 and 2. And the summer I Turned Pretty, thank you, Netflix.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like you are providing the kids with the kinds of books that they get excited about because they can make those connections. You know, I was in your state in March, able to meet many of you. I had an absolutely wonderful time. You have an amazing state organization. How lucky for you. You know, you're here at this conference. What are some things that you're hoping to do because you're here surrounded by all these amazing school librarians and you have your choice of all these different sessions to go to?
I'm trying to go to the ones that I think will benefit my school. I just did one on that teaching propaganda. I do teach media literacy. I went to that one. It'll give a great resource as Holocaust education is mandated in our state. So that's going to be an excellent resource for those 8th grade teachers. ChatGPT I've been asked to go to because we don't know what the kids are using or how they're using it, even though it's supposedly blocked by the network. But we all know they go home and suddenly everything is free game. So that is what I'm hoping to get out of it, is to get some stuff to take back from my school.
You know, and I love that about us because we're always looking out for the needs of others. When we come here, we're taking care of not only our personal curiosities, but also the immediate needs of our teachers and of our districts writ large. Thank you so much, Beth, for coming today and being a part of the show.
Thank you so much.
My name is Julie Dupkin, and I'm a librarian in Anchorage, Alaska.
Okay, so I have never, ever had an opportunity to speak with anybody from Alaska. I'd love to do some recording with episodes from school librarians in Alaska because it just has never come up. But let me ask you, you're here a long way from home. Yes. So I'm curious to know, what are you looking for in the way of why are you here at this conference right now? You've come a long way.
It is one of the best PD experiences I've had. This is my 4th AASL. It's worth the travel time to get here to be with other librarians, get ideas. I always come away from AASL with an idea that I can literally put into action the next time I'm in the library.
So what is something you'd like to share with listeners today?
Well, I just want to share a favorite library program I do. I think a lot of people do it, but I love doing mock Caldecott. I typically don't do it until January so that I know who the winners are during the process, but I love giving usually 2nd and 3rd grade is where I really hit it hard, but I do K-Pre, and I just love giving them a voice to assess books, and you don't always have to like it, you might totally love it. How can you tell me you love it? And then I love being able to make sure that they understand that pictures and films really work together to fully tell the story.
Well, and I'm sure all the while you're also building a culture of reading in your library space. I imagine your teachers are very grateful.
Yeah, they enjoy it. I work at a Russian immersion school, and so those kids that are in the Russian program, I feel like I take that on in the library to make sure that they get a good, well-rounded experience with the literature I have, and then we have neighborhood classes as well.
Forgive me, I just need some clarification. Is this a dual language immersion program? When you say you've got a Russian program, explain to me more what this looks like in your school, because I've never heard of something like this.
Anchorage School District actually has several programs. I would say I know there's Japanese, German, French, Chinese, UPIC, Spanish, UPIC, and Russian. I believe I've hit them all, but it's a continuous thing. It goes from elementary to middle school to high school, and the kids are in language immersion classroom half of the day, and then they have an English teacher that does like the ELA and math. So they typically will do, language immersion things, but they'll do like science and social studies and things as well in that target language. It's a very, very good program.
So I'm curious to know, how does this impact your collection development?
I have a little area of Russian books, and so it is a little challenging to get good published books, so recent ones. But yeah, there's lots of publishers out there that do the books in other languages.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared with us today. I hope you have a fantastic conference and safe trip home.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Allie. I'm a elementary school IB PYP primary years program, a librarian in Anchorage, Alaska, the only PYP in Alaska. And this is my 2nd year, so I'm still kind of finding my footing in the library. One of the challenges maybe I've had is like balancing who gets what books, because some of my 2nd graders are real salty that the 3rd graders get some of the graphic novels first. So I'm trying to balance that because they all are super in love with all of the I Survived.
Well, and I love that we are sort of trying to remember all the needs of all our students all the time with a limited budget and a limited collection. And yes, I remember having to put some of my books aside for my classes after lunch and making sure that there are some things. And, we're trying to do so much to support our students. What is something that you're hoping to learn while you're here at the conference?
As a new librarian, it's just kind of like getting to meet people and hear best practices and the things that they love and the things they do and the things they work, and incorporating those into my library program and making my library program my own and something different and new, but using all these great ideas and manipulating them into something that works for ours.
So let me ask you, what is something about your program and your space that you're really proud of? Because I know we're always looking to learn from one another.
I love, and it's one of the IB tenets, is the collaboration between the library and the classroom teachers. And there's never enough time to do all the things that you want, with like having the kids come to the library for library lessons, then also collaborate with the teachers in the classroom and do research and dive into the inquiry that is part of IB. But it's been really fun to like watching kids find things and like lock into them and research them and discover already know, but when they discover it for the first time and that light bulb that turns on and the connections that they make, it's just really...
It sounds like you're an absolute partner in learning, and I know your teachers are lucky to have you in their school. Thank you so much for stopping by today.
Thank you.
My name is Tanya, and I'm from Chugach, Alaska. I work at elementary school. Has what we call in our Anchorage School District an ABC program, which is back to basics. So they focus on the phonics and the math and getting your basic skills before you branch out into the creativity set. A lot of people think that means we're in a box, but we do have a lot of freedom to be able to do the creative stuff as well.
It sounds like you're absolutely vital to your school, given that so many students require that foundation in reading, and you're going to be providing a great deal of support in that respect. But give me a good sense of like, how do you engage with your students on a regular basis to make sure that you're an integral partner in learning?
I try to make sure that I help build community quite a bit. I try to make those creative endeavors happen. Like right now we're doing a cardboard challenge based on the King's Arcade YouTube video that many people know about. If you haven't watched it, it's great. Just trying to make sure that the kids have that access to books and they have that access to reading, because we do care a lot about, building that at our building. And so I'm supporting the teachers through that.
I love that. Now, tell me, what is something you're excited about? You've come a long way to be here for this conference. What is something you're hoping to learn about that you can take back home to your school?
That's a good question. I came because I'm fairly new in the library. This is just my third year coming from a classroom. And so I really am not quite sure what I'm going to take back. I just know that pretty much everything that I am going to experience here will be things that will help me grow and become a better librarian. So I don't have anything specific. I just know that there's so much that I can absorb from this conference.
Well, you are in good company. You're surrounded by a lot of like-minded school librarians who are all in here investing in ourselves and making sure that when we go back home, we're ready to support our schools. Thank you so much, Tanya, for joining us, and I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name's Kate Barrows, and I'm the librarian at Du Bois Academy. It is an all-boys Afro program for middle and high school students. Right now, I'm in 2 branches in the library, but we have just everything was developed and created for our learners. It's the first library the school's had, and it's been growing with the students. So I've had them since 6th grade, and now they're up to juniors, and we just keep growing with them every year.
Well, and you must be an absolute hero, because they didn't have a library, and now you're here, and you're the librarian, and you are making all things possible. Let me ask you, what are some things that you do in your space that especially are intended to support your readers?
Well, I'm very lucky because I have students who love to come to the library, and I've really been able to capitalize on that kind of boy-centric, they love to help. They want to be in the library. So I think I started with about 20 volunteers. I call them my Lit Lions for library influencer team. And now I've got about 90 volunteers. So it's almost difficult to get them all, but don't have a problem getting them into the library. And once you've got them into the library, you can get a book in their hands. And once they've got a book in their hands, they'll come get their own books and, rinse, repeat.
I'm curious to know, because a lot of us rely on student helpers, what are some ways in which you found that really work with that student's interest in being a part of the library? What are some things that you give to your library lions to do to make your library work better?
Well, it's not just doing chores and tasks for me. They are advocates for students in the library. I consider myself their employee more than the other way around. So when I have vendors come in and they want to sell a new program or a digital library system, I have the student group meet with the vendors, and they ask questions and they decide. So they have a big say in how we use our budget. When it's time to buy books, I get feedback from students, and so they know that they're the ones who put those books in those shelves because they asked for those.
Well, and this speaks directly to voice and choice and having students build the space that they want. And empowering them in a way that I don't know if everybody's comfortable in doing that. That's absolutely amazing. So let me ask you, what are you hoping to get out of this conference? Is there something in particular that you're looking forward to building out in your own space? Or do you have some goals, or you're just here to be surrounded by a lot of school librarians?
Well, all of those things work for me, but one of the things I'm really excited about is kind of meeting with other people who are advocating for intellectual freedom. That's a big thing of mine, and I'm on a board, and that's what I work for. So kind of meeting with other people and brainstorming and making those connections, because we really need to be, especially now, as organized as everyone else is.
You know, Kate, I'm so glad you stopped by today. It sounds like your students are so lucky to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. And I am very lucky to have my guys. They're pretty awesome kids.
Introduce yourself and tell us about your library.
So my name is Jana Kozlowski. I'm an elementary librarian in Solvay, New York, up in Syracuse. I work in a K-4 library, and my favorite thing about my library is we have a very large ENL population, but specifically from Ukraine, which has only gotten larger in the past few years.
Wow. So, forgive me, are you supporting current residents, but then also having the influx of refugees? Is that what's happening?
So we've been a home for Ukrainian populations in Syracuse, New York for a very, very long time due to one of our very large Ukrainian churches. And it has grown as of recently since the war broke out. We've gotten a lot of family members of folks who are already there, as well as some new population as well.
So forgive me, but you're dealing with an extraordinary group of students who have challenges that very few individuals, regardless of age, could ever identify with. How do you feel your space is essential in supporting these students as they have some sense of what we'd call a typical school experience, given the extraordinary world events that many of them have witnessed firsthand?
Yeah, so school in America is obviously very different than school there. And of course, they're going through trauma that you would never really be able to imagine unless you lived it. We've been able to, over the years, develop our Ukrainian book collection, which has been particularly helpful for other districts nearby that are also looking for Ukrainian books. We've kind of become a home for them as well. And the things that you don't think about are the things that are going to be triggers for them or moments that are going to be difficult for them. But the biggest thing is they all really love to read, and a lot of them can read in English or Ukrainian or in Russian, and giving them the option that if today's maybe not a day that they can interact with their lesson and it's a day that they can just read, then that's okay.
I imagine your space is a safe space for all of your students, but especially when they can see books on the shelves for which they were specifically hoping to reach, and making sure that they feel that environment, that supportive environment. And I'm sure that their parents are probably also very grateful to the librarian who made this all possible.
Yeah, it's definitely great when they're able to maintain their mastery of the Ukrainian language or further develop it, depending on if they were fluent in their reading skills before they left or not. And being able to send some of those books home for them to read with their parents as well is particularly exciting.
Jana, I'm so grateful that you stopped by today, and I know your students are so lucky to have you as a school librarian. May I ask, is there something that you're interested in you're here at this conference, you're investing in yourself as a school librarian. What are some things you're hoping to get out of being here this weekend?
Well, it's my first time being at a national conference, so I'm really excited to meet some librarians from other areas. I've met plenty of amazing librarians in New York, but I'm really excited to be down here and meet some other folks.
I am so grateful you're here. Thank you so much and have a great conference.
Thank you so much.
So hi, I'm Rebecca Lowe, and I am the librarian at Scripps Middle School in Lake Lorien. And I have a flexible schedule, and so the kids choose when to come in. I'm open for the lunches. That's when I get most of my students coming in. So they have board games, we have a makerspace, just lots of activities going on during lunches.
I love that. Now, let me ask, because not everybody has an administration that is on board with having kids in the library. So what have you done to make sure that your administrators know that this is a space where students are feeling supported? It's not a free-for-all, but they're also going to be respectful of that space because, not every administrator is like, I don't want to create a second cafeteria.
Well, I was very lucky that I came in with administrative support. And when my administrators changed over, they had already seen that I had this really successful program. So they just kind of came in and it was already up and going. My biggest problem was actually the custodian who, again, did not want to clean 2 spaces. So we do not allow the students to eat in the lunch on Thursdays because that's nacho day, but they're still allowed to come in after they eat lunches. But every other day of the week, they're allowed in the full lunch period.
Wow. I'm just remembering when I had to do lunch duty in the elementary school, and it was French toast day, and it was all the syrup, and your feet would stick to the floor. So absolutely. So let me ask you, you're here, you already have a fantastic program, but what are the kinds of things you're hoping to do because you're at this conference and learn from other librarians?
Well, I'm really excited about expanding our makerspace. We do take and make craft kits that we connect with career readiness. So I'm looking for more ideas of what some of these take and make kits or what we can add to our makerspace. And then my other really big goal for this year is I'm just starting a junior librarian committee. So we've had some of the companies that send preview boxes. We'll send the preview boxes to the kids. We'll have the kids come in and go through the preview box with me, and they help me decide what we want to buy. And then some of the different book lists that come out, like the Myself in Books Diverse Books list, or some of these other lists, I sit down with the students and ask them which ones out of that list that they want, and then try to figure out how much my budget can support.
But look at that you're getting that agency, you're getting students a voice and choice in your library, and most importantly, they recognize that they're an important part of the space, and the space is being intentional in supporting them and the needs that they have. I'm so grateful that you stopped by, Rebecca. Thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Thank you. I'm having a great time.
I'm Deidre. I'm from Mississippi, capital city. I've been at 3 libraries in 90 days. Official.
Wait. So are you rotating libraries, or they just can't decide where to put your talent?
The issues are we've lost a significant portion of our students to charter school and individuals moving out of the city. I went through a closure, and I say 90 days because officially our contracts go from July 1 to June 30th with how the contracts are written, but your paydays are one of the set. So if I decide to do a part-time job, maybe it's tough. And well, the terrible because I should be above that, but nah, it's just a joke. But in all its purpose, that could be reality. However, I went to another that was close to the house, still a little over 20 minutes away. Then we got a week and a half to pack up and go to another newer school, newer facility. And they said, you'll report on September the 18th. So at this point, I've got a rolling card at my new school, and I'm not moving everything to the new building because I don't know what changes will be made. In consideration of that, there are about 16 schools in our district that have been affected. Multiple libraries are dealing with multiple schemes, as am I. But it's kind of, with the technology aspect, it's really difficult and challenging to be an efficient librarian and you're tied down to technology because along with our assignments or inventory controls for the square,
and that's all in mature and similar type of things. You have Chromebook assignments, each public cities, and you do have an IT department that does work tickets. It seemed kind of challenging for that is concerned because I'm a seasoned teacher, seasoned librarian. A week ago, I get chewed on by a 19-person who's less than half my age. Even our public libraries are being challenged. In the city, we have several that is closed. And it's almost putting tears in my eyes that the Doctoral wealthy has library totals is closing long, and that's where it down, make a great error. But being from a great state, great people had an impact worldwide. And city leader says, and it was like, well, it's different purposes for libraries. We don't need the space, but as if to say, people use the library for other reasons other than warehouses. And that's maybe the attitude that people have. And I'm still got a hangover from looking on the news and seeing what happened to Houston Independent School District, where they've got chairs set up in the library centers. And I'm just seeing all of these books underutilized. And for the new person, their sentiments are, and I'm paraphrasing, if they want to read a book, they can go to the shelf. So the original search engines, and that's who we are. How, Google doesn't answer everything. And it depends on how you get on the top page of Google. But it's just sad to say that until we change the attitude, got to get the attitude, and it starts with those in power.
Deidre, you sound like an absolute hero. I don't think you're alone, though. While you may not have the backing of politicians and civic leaders, it sounds like you're here with other school librarians in your state. Do you feel supported from the other school librarians in your state? I think it always helps to know when we're not alone.
We're not alone. We have the support system, but we actually work on these people with ears, people with heart, because without effective libraries for children, because you've got to get that book on when they're young and strong there, and re-implement and last, because having children not having access to books, this morning, and my son tells me that my 4-year-old grandchild knows how to get in Amazon and go and shop for the toys and all. But everything is not electronic based. You really need books. And children, my best job is a pre-K center down in McComb, Mississippi. Tear used to get to my eye on Friday afternoons after a work week because I couldn't service my kids anymore. I had 2 days off. But just getting them both pre-K to 2 was the best job I've ever had.
Deidre, I am so grateful you are here because I think this conference is so important in supporting those of us who are fighting the good fight. It sounds like you are doing everything you can and more to make sure that you are supporting your community. I am so grateful you're here, and I am so grateful that you shared your story with us today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Megan Boyd. I'm from Bryn C. Floyd, and I'm at a middle and a high school. It's combined 6 through 12.
Fantastic. So I assume that's like one space, correct? You're not moving between two buildings?
No, the library kind of is in the center of the building, and the middle school on one side, the high school's on the other. And we share the same space together. We kind of have to half it in half, I guess, to say, to separate the middle school from the high school. But yeah, we share the same space.
So I can appreciate why you wouldn't necessarily want your students intermingling. You've got your middle school students all the way up there with some of those 18-year-olds. But forgive me, how have you been able to make it work in the space so that students have access to the content in a way that they feel empowered, they can find the things they're looking for?
So we kind of have like our tables, our chairs, everything like in the center, and we have our shelving on the side. Now, sometimes nonfiction kind of overlaps, but typically I try to have like the juvenile fiction all on one side and the YA on the other. And so they kind of know that, in that middle space is where they can hang out, but the books are kind of separated that way. I have had some 8th graders who are kind of feeling like, I'm stuck in the juvenile section. So I have had to do like some permission slips from parents about like, my child has permission to read from the YA side. And that's kind of helped, I think, bridge that gap of feeling like they're not quite at the level of the juveniles, but safe enough to go to the YA.
Well, I'm really curious. I'm glad you mentioned that because everybody's sort of wondering. I hear librarians say, my kids can check out from, the YA section. But I imagine that your parent community appreciates you giving them the option to be part of that agreement between them and the children that, when they go to your library, that they have the ability to know that when they go over to the YA section, they can check out and know that they have, the confidence of you and the parent support.
Yeah, my parents are really, really supportive. And really the permission stuff, I think, is more of like just kind of a safeguard for myself, safeguard for them, the parents, just kind of being aware of what they're, sort of checking out what they're doing and that sort of a thing. But yeah, I think it works out really, really well. I thought the parents feel like it's a good community between librarians, parents, students.
I am so grateful you stopped by, Megan. Thank you so much. Let me ask you, is there something in particular that brought you here to the conference? You're just here to hang out with school librarians?
So I'm going to hang out. So this is actually my second year as a school librarian. Well, and actually probably not even a full second year because I went on maternity leave halfway through my first year. So before that I was in the English classroom. So I just kind of come in to get some more experience, talk to some people, get some more, knowledge about what I can do to help my kids.
You are surrounded by the most amazing community of people who want to make sure that you succeed. I am grateful you're here.
My name is Tracy, and I'm an elementary librarian. And a strategy for getting books returned on time that I use, especially for kindergarten and first grade, I print them out cards. They have their name and their barcode, and they have stars on them. Every week they bring a book back, they get a punch, and when they get 5 punches, they get to go to the treasure chest.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. And you know what? I think of kids that age, this is going to make a difference. And they're so rewards-based.
They are.
And it's giving them a sense of empowerment because they can see what they need to do, and they can see that this is on them to do that. It's not their parents' responsibility. So is this a Oriental trading? What do you put inside the treasure chest?
So I have an Amazon wish list, and I'll share that on my Facebook page or with my friends and then the parents. And then I'll just pick up some like the Happy Meal toys. They love those. Pens, pencils, erasers, rubber ducks. They love rubber ducks for some reason. They love them. The teacher's not crazy about them because they squeak, but they love them, so it really works out well.
Can I also say, please do not give them those slap bracelets?
No, I don't.
Because those slap bracelets, I kind of put a veto on in my space because I was like, nope, no to slap bracelets. Tracy, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a fantastic conference.
You too. Thank you. Hi, I'm Kara Van Millaway, and I am from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which is outside Knoxville. I'm a high school librarian. We have an amazing library. We're genre-fied. We have been to Dewey to the point of breaking. It's really warm and welcoming and lots of stuff going on.
So I'm curious, what is something that you'd like to share with listeners today?
The thing about organizing your library is to put the reader first. Always think about the reader and how they're going to find books. One of my taglines in the library is that I will help you find a book you don't hate. And then we will start there because, a lot of high school students don't think they like to read. So I remind them they don't like to read yet, and that together we'll find something they don't hate. And that we have a really diverse collection of all kinds of kids.
That sounds amazing. So I'm really curious, do you want to share with us something that you've done to make sure that students see the books on the shelves that they're excited to read?
So again, we genreify. That makes it a lot easier for them to find. We've actually moved references to the back of the library. So that's given us some more room to do a lot of, we call them Facebooks, to do a lot of Facebooks. We have some fun signage. We do a lot of different displays. And we do a survey annually to just make sure that we have what they want and that it's easy for them to buy.
I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing. I hope you have a great conference.
Thank you. You too.
Hi, my name is Venus Cowell, and I'm a librarian at Templeton, California at Vineyard Elementary School for the grades 3rd through 5th grade.
I'm so glad to hear that you're there. I got to tell you, I talk to a lot of school librarians in California, and it's not common to find an elementary librarian because all too often they are not staffed by certified school librarians.
Yes, our district really supports our librarians, which is why we're here in Florida. It's pretty amazing. And we have a very small community, 7,500 students. So there's 7,500 people in our town, but 500 in our school.
Wow. So let me ask you, what is it that you'd like to share with listeners today?
I would like to describe a favorite library program I do to bring students into my library.
Please do.
I have a program called I Spy Aquarium. And what that is I bought a 10-gallon aquarium at Petco, and I have a different theme every month. I completely make it either about books, or maybe it's a popular theme for the month, or maybe it's something about awareness that I want to teach my students. For example, I can do Noise-Induced Hearing Loss Awareness Month, where I'll have a whole bunch of things in this aquarium, and then the kids have to answer questions by looking at the aquarium for observational skills, and it's really fun. It's amazing, and the kids are so into it. It brings the kids in the library. Every month, they're just waiting for the next theme that they could have, and it's just the best.
I think that's a fantastic idea, and I love that there's no technology involved. This is something that anybody could do, and you can become elaborate with whatever budget you may or may not have. But it really is a way to bring the students in, and then once they're in the library, now you've got them. And that's amazing. Let me ask, what are you looking for here in this conference? Because we all come here hoping to learn something new.
I'm looking to just network with other librarians, see what ideas they have in the Idea Lab. I'm also looking for ways I can incorporate different literary programs into my library. I already do Battle of the Books and I Spy Aquariums and things like that. I'm just trying to look for other ways to engage readers.
Venus, you're amazing. Your school is lucky to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm Jen Murray. My library is the Newman Elementary Library, and we have a collection of about 15 or 16,000 books, and we are K-5.
That sounds amazing. Introduce yourself and tell us about your library.
So I'm another Jen Potter, and I'm the librarian at Broadmeadow Elementary in Needham, Massachusetts. I have about 18,000 books and about 550 students in school K-5.
Incredible. I'm getting a sense that as elementary librarians in Needham, Massachusetts, you might know each other. Yes, introduce yourself. And my goodness, this is Jennifer number 3.
I'm Jenny Gardino. I'm an elementary librarian in Needham at the William Mitchell Elementary School, and I have about 15,000 books now.
Oh, now I'm dying to know. Friends, what is it that we're all going to share? Because clearly you work together, you feel the support here. But let's go ahead and share with listeners, what is it you'd like listeners to know about Needham, Massachusetts, the schools you work in, and the programs you provide?
So one of the questions was, what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your library? And I inherited a library with a great collection of books, but a number of them were outdated. It was about 23,000 books. And, tackling that weeding project and making sure that all of the books were up to date and accessible to my students was a big challenge. I reached out to some colleagues, and they came in and provided support. And so they had a number of tips and tricks that helped me solve this challenge.
So your solution is standing right next to you. These amazing, generous people who are experts in the field of collection development. So Jennifer Potter, let me ask, how did you respond to that cry for help from the fellow school librarian in your district?
So they call me the book ninja because I'm a reading maniac. I don't get emotionally attached to books. And so they all call on me. But we just went in, we started with reports.
and, weeded by circulation, and then we're looking at condition,
So when you say circulation, and what was your cutoff? Did you have some hard cutoffs? And you know what? There was nuance there. But what was sort of an easy number for you to work with in terms of circulation or copyright date?
So in my collection, we went back 10 years. So 10 years is the cutoff. I'd love to be earlier than that, but realistically, budgets and everything. So 10 years is where we went.
Fantastic. And how about you, Jennifer Murray? You are an important part of this solution. What did you do to help our Jennifer here in her collection? Because newsflash, Jennifer, you're going to be called upon. These papers do have to be returned. We got to pay it forward, right? But look at you as a team. How did you help in this endeavor?
So I was able to go in. We have a partly flexible schedule. I had some time and I would go in. And we really just went through fiction, and we're like, would a kid want to borrow this book? Does it smell? Does it look like it's outdated? Are the images appealing? Really, we all shop by the cover of a book, and kids do it even more than we do it as adults. So that was sort of our first sweep, was just what's appealing and how can we make it so kids can easily find what they're looking for.
Am I wrong when I say the books I pull off the shelf and decide to read, oftentimes it's my ego at play here, because I see these books as a reflection of me. And if the books leave the library and then the families say, oh, where'd you get that book? And you're like, wow, you got this from your library? I would be embarrassed. For me, that's a real easy sort of way to make a decision when I'm pulling books off the shelf.
We always say to ourselves, we're not an archive. We are a living reflection of our students. And we want the books on the shelves to reflect who our current students are. And so when we kind of keep that lens in the forefront of our thinking, it's easier for us to pull things.
Well, then I'm going to ask all of you, it is so easy to weed somebody else's collection. And during the pandemic, I moved into 2 spaces that were occupied by my predecessor for 13 years. And I will tell you, that was the most fun I have ever had with nobody in the room, because I was just pulling books off with abandon, and I loved it. But let me ask you, Jennifer, this was your library space. How did you feel about these people coming in and making some of these decisions? I'm a control freak.
It was overwhelming at first, but seeing what the students were able to get out of it and seeing how much more accessible it made the shelves, and it made the students going into these sections where they didn't go before, made it all work.
So, Jennifer, number 2, Potter, let me ask you, invariably you're going to get questions from your non-librarians, and it's always interesting when non-librarians are like, wait, what are you doing? And have you found a way to explain to a non-librarian why this is important?
So I liken it to a garden where, there may be pretty things in there, but if they're not good for the garden, then you have to think about what's important. And so it's that same sort of process and it's also, if there are still books that are great, but maybe don't fit our collection anymore, we do really try to pay attention to passing them on to other people who might not have access to as many books as we do, or the kind of resources that we have at our disposal. So,
turnabout's fair play. You pulled on your experts who are at neighboring schools. So, Jennifer Ward, can you give us an idea of other ways in which you might call upon your team here to help you moving forward? You've done the weeding. What are other projects that you might call upon each other for help?
One of the things that we've done that I think has really benefited students is Jen Potter started it, and we have a lot of buckets now in our library. So instead of a shelf with 150 animal books, we now have 6 buckets, and kids can really go to the bucket they're interested in and find all the cat books or find all the dog books. And they're not overwhelmed by just fine out. They can flip through them easily. They can shelve them easily. And we have found that that's really increased circulation.
Jennifer's of Massachusetts. My goodness, we have this trifecta here. This is absolutely empowering. I'm so privately jealous of all of you that you have one another. I want to thank you right now so much for joining us. I hope you have a fantastic conference, and thank you for sharing. You've given us a lot to think about.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you.
My name's Nathan Miller. I'm a librarian at a high school in suburban Kansas City, Missouri. We have about 2,000 students, 120 or so teachers. There's 2 librarians, and I'm here with 6 librarians in our district, including our coordinator. So we're excited. I've come to one AASL and just enjoyed it every time, learning from others and the excitement as well.
I gotta tell you, Missouri was represented well at this conference. You know, friends, you're always aware when you're surrounded by friends, but you already come from a place that really does a fantastic job of supporting your school librarians, wouldn't you say?
Yes, for sure. We have a great coordinator who was a librarian for a long time. She was one time president of MASL. She's definitely supportive administrators. We're in a lucky district. So yeah, it's a good place.
You know, I'm curious because we're always trying to learn from one another. What is one of your favorite EdTech tools, and how has it just transformed what you're able to do for your students and staff?
I was thinking old school. I've been a librarian for 12 years, and so when I first got into the library, I spent a lot of time on our website, and that was how students accessed a lot of our resources. Now we use Curating, but Canva or anything else, the website's kind of been forgotten. So what is the website used for? But we still get thousands and thousands of visits every year. So I want it to be a good tool, and we don't think about it as a space like we do some of our other spaces, which we've focused on. So trying to get back to that when we make it useful.
Well, I think this is about reducing the barriers to access. And you mentioned these learning management systems like Schoology and Canvas, but the reality is that at the end of the day, those learning management systems are always associated with school. We're trying to build lifelong readers, we're trying to support lifelong learners, and your website doesn't have a barrier to it.
Yes, yeah, there was a lot of promise with those management systems, like, oh, there's single sign-on, every tool will work, and then not every tool wants to be a part of their system, so the website's so important for our students to access it. So we even look at how many clicks our students spend on our website, and you know, we're not the type of website where we want them to stay. We want them to find the right link and go to it. So yeah, we look at those things.
Well, and appreciate that you also get traffic from other people learning about your space. You've got people engaging with you when they want to learn about the library and they happen to be parents. You know, that is an easy way for them to learn about you and all the amazing things you're doing. You're raising the profile of what you do for the school through your website.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, listening to one of your episodes, I thought recently, we don't have a page called For Parents on our library website. So that's something I'm going to do over the next month because they come and visit. And then my co-librarian used to be in broadcast journalism. He's over there. And so his YouTube videos and book talks are amazing. And we get hundreds of views every month from around the country. So they always kind of leave messages about, hey, who is this guy and why is he so good?
Well, and forgive me, but in today's current climate, doesn't it stand to reason that the more transparent we are about what we do when it comes to building our collection and supporting our students and staff, doesn't it make sense that we would bring more support to our family and community if we're more transparent on our website?
Yes, probably. And also it just gives people a chance to be positive. We face actually 90 formal challenges for books, over 200 formal challenges last year. You should speak to our coordinator. She's amazing. And our policies did a great job. And I think our policies were so good, they were advocacy because we were sincere. And I think that was the number one thing. We were sincere and genuine with the public the whole time. And we wound up with more support than critics, I think.
That is a great thing to hear coming out of Missouri. I hope you have a fantastic conference. Nathan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate the podcast.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I am the district librarian for Broad Auburn Central School District.
Oh my gosh, so tell us a little bit about your district, because give us an idea of the size of it and how many librarians you're supporting.
It's a pretty good sized district. I'm the only certified library media specialist right now, but I have a wonderful team that I work with, and I also love to collaborate with my library work study students.
So wait a minute, now you have library work study students, and that's out of the high school, correct?
Yes, that's out of the junior, senior high school. They're a wonderful team. We do everything from book clubs to videos to coming up with displays for our display cases to curriculum support for teachers. We've offered sessions for staff that my student workers they also co-teach with me, and so many more programming opportunities.
Wow,
whoa. So let me ask you, you're a district librarian. How do you decide what you're going to do every day? For me, it's who comes to my door, and how can I help you? What can I do for you? But you're working with buildings. How do you prioritize what you do every day?
I collaborate a lot with students, with teachers, with admin. I really want our libraries to be what they need it to be, a great collaborative space, a place where they could find books they love reading and take part in some really great programs.
Can I ask, what are some resources that you pushed out to, say, like your elementary librarians or your middle school or your high school librarians that have really made it easier for everybody to do their jobs?
We have quite a great list of databases and great resources. Our website is fantastic. It links everything right there. Some favorites that I have right now, we're studying World Book at the elementary, finding great resources there. Teachingbooks.net is also a great resource. You get to hear the authors actually talk about their books, and I love their collection development programs as well.
That's fantastic. Listen, I'm so glad you're here. Let me ask, what is it? You're a district librarian. You're kind of here for everybody. What are some things you're looking for in particular in this conference?
Oh, I am really enjoying meeting people. I'm looking forward to getting lots of curriculum and lesson plan ideas. I've got some great stickers to bring home to my library work study students, and I am just really excited to be at my first AASL conference.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here too. Have a great time.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
My name is Mariah. I run the high school library for a charter school, Providence Hall Charter School in Harriman, Utah, and I collaborate really closely with our elementary and middle school as well.
Wow, I was in your state 2 years ago at AASL23. Were you there?
I was actually on the conference committee for AASL21. It was so much fun.
I had so much fun. That was my very, very first AASL. And all I could think of was, why don't we do this every year? But as you know, it's a lot of work.
It is, but I would love to do it twice a year if we could.
So let me ask you, what is something you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I just have something really fun I do with my students to get them excited about books that are coming out, books that are coming down the pipeline. They might not be aware that there's a new Michael Vey or a new Fablehaven or something that they're excited about but they've kind of forgotten about. And so I take those book covers, I print them out, and I put them on the window leading to the outside of the library so they can see them in the hallway. And then inside the library, I have little clipboards where I've written down, hey, would you like this book when I get it, when it comes out in a couple of months? And then I get a kind of an idea of how many copies I actually need to order of that book. Sometimes you'd only need one. Sometimes Cyber Whippy Kid is coming again and you need 10. You just never know. And so that helps me get an idea for building my collection and also get those kids aware of something they've loved before. And then maybe they'll go back and say, oh, I need to read that series again, or I need to tell my friend about that series.
All I see is this is a way for your students to feel empowered and a way for them to start to be important in building out the collection they want to see.
Exactly. I think that it's very powerful that way. It lets them have a voice and that's coming, and I'm not just the one choosing that I'm hearing about this book and that book, and maybe my students wouldn't even like it, but I know they'll like this. Or sometimes even the reverse effect will happen. I'll be advertising a book and no one is interested. Then I have an idea. Maybe that's kind of phasing out. Maybe we're past that point. Maybe that's just a junior high book now. Something like that.
Well, and forgive me, but it seems to me what I love about this solution is it's no tech. There is no technology involved, which means it really is something that everybody is capable of doing. It's a strategy, does not require expensive equipment. It just requires you creating a visual that helps students see that you are keeping their interest in mind when you're looking to build out that collection.
Right, exactly. All you need is an ability to make something. I'm lucky enough to have a color printer, so I can print those off, but not everybody is. And so in that case, you could just take a piece of paper, write down the title. This is coming out November 2nd. Aren't you excited about it? Anybody can do that.
Mariah, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great conference.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you.
My name is Elizabeth Roberts. My pronouns are she, her. I work in the elementary school library in Oakley, Washington.
Fantastic. I'm so grateful you're here. You came quite a distance. So this is fantastic. Let me ask you, what do you want to share with listeners today?
My goal this year is really to bring joy into my library. I'm new at my school this year, and they've had a few years, rough years. And so this year is all about joy in reading, joy in being there, joy in Makerspace, just making the library a joyful place, and really excited about it.
Oh, do tell. So what are some things that you feel you can do that don't require a great deal of money? And listeners, not everybody has funding, but what are some things that you're going to do to bring that culture and of just being driven by joy into your space every day?
One of the biggest things I'm doing is just making my library accessible. I'm making sure kids and teachers know that the library is always open before school, during school. They can come in anytime and get those books. And then just making it a colorful, fun place with fun things and connection. That's absolutely what I'm doing. And it doesn't cost me anything so far, because I definitely don't have money.
Teachers are sometimes the hardest ones to win over, to bring them into our space. Do you have some suggestions of things that you have found really do bring those teachers into your space, even if they're not especially looking for another book to read?
Just personal connection is the biggest piece. Like going and seeking them out and having a lunch and talking with them, and then making it not like an official meeting, but just connecting with them and saying, oh, by the way, I heard X, Y, and Z you're doing in your classroom. I have the perfect book for this, or come check this out, and I'll share that with you.
Well, and I love that intentionality, because anytime our teachers realize they have a partner in learning, all they have to do is be open to the idea of collaborating with a school librarian. Our job is to make them look good all the time. I love that. So, Elizabeth, what are some things you're hoping to find at the conference? You came a long way to be here.
I think just inspiration and getting new ideas. It's always good to just be in a room in a space with other librarians, because we're often the only one in our building. We don't have that community in our building, so connecting and learning and just getting sparks of ideas that I can do.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Oyuki Boulette, and I am the Director of Library Services at North Broward Prep in South Florida. And we serve pre-K-3 all the way up to grades 12.
Wow. So can you give me an idea of how many schools and how many librarians you are supporting every day?
I am supporting at least 2,500 students. And so we have 2 libraries on our campus. And we always try, because I'm a former public librarian, this is my second year as a school librarian, so I always try to bridge that connection to our local public library. So if we don't have something, I'm like, I can hook you up with more resources.
Well, and my public libraries have come to our rescue, because I can't afford audiobooks, I can't afford ebooks, and there are quite a few databases I also can't afford. So they've got, and I'll tell you what, they've also done for me some satellite collections. They've done satellite collections so that we can circulate those books. Their numbers look good. Their public outreach look good. It's a win-win. Absolutely.
It is a win-win. We're currently going to partner with NSU, Nova Southeastern University, through the Broward County as well, and bring our IB students for extended essay locking for our IB group. So we're really excited about that.
So let's back up. You've got an IB school.
Well, we have a program. So the whole school is not IB curriculum, but we have a program.
And then what are you doing to make sure that those IB students have the resources they need?
We are literally going to another a campus university so that they can access and get taught by those librarians as well. Yeah, we're excited.
That's a partnership I've never heard of. That's amazing. And this gives those students sort of a taste for college life, college resources. Oh my God.
Yes, so everything all at once, plus they get the resources they need for their 4,000-word essay.
Well, and forgive me, I know that you must have some IB teachers on site, and you've come up with a very clever solution that doesn't cost the district any money.
No, it just costs the kids coming over in their cars.
And I'm sure that the local universities are appreciative, because this is giving them some face time with prospective candidates.
Yes, so that's part of the deal. We go over and they get to do a little pitch.
I I cannot wait to try this in my school. You've given me some great ideas. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Thank you, Amy. So my name is Doreen Trion, librarian at Brunswick High School in Brunswick, Maine. And I think we have a pretty engaging library. We have a makerspace, and we do a lot of different programs. This year we sponsored a True Crime and Forensics Club. And then as far as a book club, we started something new this year called Page Turners and Tea, to just come and read and have tea and read, get together with other readers. But we're always looking for new ideas. We also have a studio where we have virtual reality. So we're looking for more programming around that to integrate in other classes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, we've got a fellow Maine school librarian here. Diana, would you introduce yourself and tell us about your program?
Yep, I'm Diana Marcarell, and I'm from Brunswick, Maine. I work at the Kate Kirbish Elementary School Library, which is a pre-K to 2 school with over 600 students. And where most of my readers are not quite reading independently yet, I really focus a lot on my teachers as patrons. And as a former teacher, now librarian, I know how busy teachers are. So one thing I've done a lot of that really helps them is pop-up libraries, where I take a theme, like right now the digital citizenship pop-up library is up in the mailroom, which is where the copy room is. Everyone has to go there. They take the books out. They almost always make it back home into the library. And people just give me a lot of positive feedback for that, because it just makes the book so much more accessible. And when they're on the run, they can find the book that they need for what's happening right now, whether it's Hispanic Heritage Month, banned books, like all kinds of books we put in there. So I really like that we do that for our teachers.
Wow, and so you're sort of a satellite. It's sort of a little satellite checkout. Now, listeners will want to know, do you have any way of recording which books that get checked out, or we're sort of on a honor system?
It's an honor system. I check it out to like a fake patron, which is the section of the school where it is. I tried to have a tally sheet on the front of the book, and the teachers are too busy. They just don't check it off. So I just have to hope for the best. And I make a note when teachers say to me, oh, I really liked such and such book that you put in the library. I really like that. And then they'll come back and look for it again in the future. So that really works.
Well, and I love that you're meeting the teachers where they are, because they've got to make their copies.
Yeah.
All right. And you're in a space where they're likely to get some traffic and some attention. Can I ask, moving forward, what other kinds of things might you put in this satellite collection, this pop-up library, moving forward?
So another thing I'll do this year is for Read Across America. I create a map of the United States with books from each region. And to level it up a little bit, each teacher gets a poster with all the book covers on it in black and white. And then I also give every teacher a color copy of the cover. So as the students and the teacher read the book together, they glue them onto the poster, and the kids really like it. And I make it a little competitive, like the first class that brings the poster back to the library gets special recognition, and I make a big deal out of celebrating them as readers.
I love that. It's really celebrating. It sounds low tech. You don't expect anybody to do anything other than to encourage that love of reading. Doreen, can I ask, what are some things that you are hoping to do? It's early in the school year, and I know a lot of us have plans. What are some things you're planning on doing to really excite your teachers and your students in the programs that you offer in your library?
So I'd want to do a lot more with research and databases and helping students select that selection process. And I know there's a workshop here on that, so I'm excited to learn more about maybe gamification of that, to help students develop, choose their interests and develop that into a topic for a research paper.
I work at the high school as well, and I found that more and more my teachers are amenable to the idea of the students having more of a more choice, which I really think makes it so much easier for us when we're teaching those strategies, because the students are paying attention when you start to use some of those ideas in your demos.
Exactly. I've used games before, of different interests and, to develop their interests and how to develop that into a topic. So, I want to learn more about that too.
Well, celebrating all the wins coming out of Maine, I'm so grateful you stopped by today. Diana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for interviewing us, and so nice to meet you. We're so excited to see you here.
Doreen, I'm grateful. This is great to hear from you and all the exciting things that are happening in Maine.
And thanks for all you do. Hi, I'm Marcia Koshel. I'm at Druid Hills Middle School in Decatur, Georgia. It's about 1,000 students. Super diverse and active, and we have a fabulous library with all kinds of makerspace and fun stuff to do. And one of my problems is that we have a long time in the morning before school starts. Everyone wants to go to the library. If I let everyone in, I would probably have 80 to 100 kids. Some days I will be all alone with them, and they just want to hang out with their friends in a big pack and walk around and talk. So this year, I came up with theme mornings. And if you want to come to the library on Monday, it's because we're going to do Legos. And if you want to come on Tuesday, we got an arts and crafts project. And Wednesdays, we do Tinkercad, 3D print. And Thursdays, we call it Dragon Hearts, because we're the dragons, and we do nice things for other people. And on Friday, it's board games. Here, I got a donuts choose for board games. So they still want to come hang out, but we're sticking to, if you're going to come, it's because you want to do the activity, and it's helped a lot.
Well, and I like this idea because it takes some of the burden off of you for being all things to all people all the time. You can direct that energy in a way, and it gives the students a focus. And obviously, if that's not something they want to do, I assume that they can be in your space and just quietly engage with one another before the bell rings. But I understand. Let me ask, how did you succeed in getting your administration on board with this? Because not everybody is welcoming of students in the school prior to the bell.
Honestly, I don't really ask. I just do it. I made a sign. I said that's what I'm doing, and that's what I do. I have a lot of supplies and equipment and a supportive principal, so I did not ask permission.
We're going to ask for forgiveness if they ever figure it out. So let me ask, you can obviously switch up these themes. What are some other things that you have found are real home runs with your middle schoolers?
I have a whole first period class of 22 middle schoolers who are my library leaders, and I have turned over most of my idea generating to them. So if they make a station, if they want, kids to make hedgehogs out of books, or they're coming up with my stations, they're running my 3D printers, they are helping generate ideas. Almost anything I put out. This is why I love middle school. They will do anything. They are like kindergartners in some ways. We have put out paperback puppets, and they will make puppets. And we are doing true sentence horror stories this week, and they're absolutely in love with it. Almost anything will fly in a middle school if you give them fun stuff to do.
I love that you're tapping that energy, because it demonstrates that they are important to the direction that library is going, that they should be driving a great deal of that programming, and you're smart enough to recognize that when you make this meaningful to them, they're going to be your biggest fans, and ultimately that does get back to the families. They're going to realize just how important it is to have you in that space every day.
I hope so. And I do get appreciated, and kids love being in the library, and my administration always walks people through to show off what we're doing. We're the best place in the school, and they really listen to me and what we're doing, because we're making it a better place for everybody.
Well, you've given us so much to think about, Marcia. I'm so grateful to you. Have a fantastic conference.
Thank you so much.
I'm Dr. Deborah Renio. I am the program leader for the Library Media Certificate program at Montana State University. We are 100% online certificate program with the option to earn your master's in education in curriculum instruction. And my job is to run the program, teach the classes, and serve as advisor.
Let me ask you, would you tell us right now a little bit about the program, because it is online and we've got listeners here who would benefit greatly from taking advantage of the program that you offer because it is online. Let us know a little bit about how our listeners can find more about your program and what it entails.
So there were 21 credits for the certificate, and that consists of 6 3-credit classes and all the things that a librarian needs to know. So collection development, ethics and advocacy, management of the school library, inquiry-based learning, and information literacy instruction. And then we also have 3 1-credit practicum sessions that our students do as they go through the program. It can be completed in as few as 3 semesters, taking 7 credits per semester, or people can space it out. And it's intended for the working teacher who is wanting to add that endorsement to become a school librarian. So we try to be as flexible and personalized as possible.
And friends, you can be sure we're going to be getting a business card. I'll be able to put the contact information for this program in our show notes. But let me ask you, listeners would want to know, where are your students coming from? Can you give us an idea of the demographics of your current enrollees?
Yeah, so we're at Montana State University, and so, not surprisingly, we have most of our students from Montana. I believe about 20% of our students are from Alaska, and the other 20% are from all over the country. Wyoming and Oregon are a lot, but we have students on the East Coast, and we have students with their teaching certificate who are working in international schools as well. So people from all over will attend.
Forgive me, how much of these programs are synchronous and how many of them are asynchronous?
So our program is 100% asynchronous in terms of requirements, but we offer some synchronous opportunities so our students can connect and form those relationships necessary to network. We have monthly webinars, and we offer bi-weekly program chats for our students as well.
Wow. So, I really appreciate it, because I know there are people tuning in who are looking to make that sort of commitment so that they can pursue this career in the school library. So I'm curious to know, tell us a little bit about how your program has evolved over the years to better support this next generation of school librarians.
So I've been with the program for 5 years now, and when we started, you're still the same 21 credits, but we really, in the last 3 years, we actually got a grant from the Student Museum Library Services to completely remodel our program to be culturally responsive and include Indigenous perspectives. So we have infused those concepts throughout the entirety of the program so that our students are, in every course they take, are learning how to be culturally responsive teachers and models for other educators in their building. So we've really taken that and also adapted to the new school library, AASL, ALA, CAPE school library preparation program standards, and really making sure our folks are preparing for the future.
I know that there are listeners who find this valuable information, and I hope you have a fantastic conference.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am in a high school library. So I am in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we are in a private school.
Fantastic. And what do you want to share with listeners today?
I think the thing that I want to share most is I want to talk about something that I've been struggling with quite a bit, both from like a student perspective and from an administrative perspective. One of the things that we really struggled with when I arrived at my school 6 years ago was trying to make it so that the library was both a place where like the kids who wanted to come and work could get work done, but the kids who weren't interested in working like still felt comfortable, but like weren't overrunning the entire place. And so we, in fact, did not have a whole lot of support from our administration, who would walk in, see chaos, and go, oh my God, it's such a good energy in here, which is sort of true, but like there's a kid in the back who like needs to be able to work, and this energy is like prohibiting them from working. So.
Well, and I've heard of some people having sort of like thermometers, and like you can have it's sort of like an energy level thermometer, if you will.
Yeah, and we looked into some of those options. Our space is just like, and this is going to sound like really braggy, but it's not. Our space is really big, and so trying to sort of figure out a way to find a place in our space for like everybody who's trying to do their own things and doing, when there are, 200 kids in our library trying to figure out what is the right crowd control measure.
And this sounds like it's one of those good problems you're so lucky to have. I'm so glad you shared with us today. Have a fantastic conference.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marie, and I'm an elementary librarian in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Fantastic. And what do you want to share with listeners today?
I would love to share one of my favorite EdTech tools, and that would be Classroom Screen. Because we have so many students, I absolutely love the features in Classroom Screen where I can group them by class. I can do all of my group making in there. I can pick random names, dice, whatever I need. I organize my life around a Classroom Screen.
I imagine you have it bookmarked in your toolbar and it's at the ready and you can just pull that down and have it ready. I know a lot of teachers like to use this feature, and we are just a very big classroom when it comes right down to it.
Yes, absolutely.
I hope you have a fantastic conference. Thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you, Amy.
Hi, my name is Sarah Stansberry. I am an elementary school librarian for Ensley. I was a middle school librarian beforehand, and I'm right outside Atlanta, Georgia.
Fantastic. And I'd love to know what helps you keep your sanity when you are working with all those littles.
So I have little carpet dots that kind of guide them to where their section is. And I could say, follow the orange dots to the check-in, or follow the pink dots to the checkout, and follow these dots, go get your books. And so it's kind of really helpful. The other thing I have is I have a smiley face stamp that if you do a good job, you get a little stamp, and they think that's like the best thing ever. And it's $5 on Amazon. They love it. So,
all right, I have to ask, because I know there are a lot of custodians who would really not be happy with me if I started fixing them to the carpet. So what's the workaround?
Well, they get vacuum right over them. It's really not a big deal at all. It doesn't get caught on anything. You can peel them up. You can move them around. No residue. It's amazing, and it's cheap. It's on Amazon.
And what would you put into the search for Amazon? What would you call them?
I don't remember. It's been a while, but yeah, carpet dots. Try that.
And they're adhesive or Velcro?
Velcro.
See, friends, this is how we learn. Excellent. And you know what, friends? Sarah's been on the show before. I hope you come back and share your expertise with us again sometime in next season.
Awesome. Will do. Thanks.
Molly Dettmann, introduce yourself and tell us a little about your library.
Hi, I'm Molly Dettmann. I'm a teacher librarian at Norman North High School in Norman, Oklahoma. And my library, I have about 2,400 students, 9th through 12th grade, all walks of life. I love my kids, and I love being in Norman, Oklahoma.
Well, and you're a veteran podcast guest, and so I'm very, very grateful for the expertise that you've shared with us in the past. But I'll tell you, I don't think I saw one person on stage more than I did you, receiving all these amazing accolades. Would you let listeners know what it is you're being recognized for here at this national conference?
Yeah, thank you so much. So one of them was the TOR Family Scholarship for Strong Public School Libraries. It was an amazing opportunity where I sent in a submission where I shared about how I advocate for my school library and what I do through my social media. I was really fortunate to win that and get some funds to be able to attend this conference. And then the other two, one was a Collection Inspired grant for Reaching All Readers that I got back in 2022. Got lots of new books with that was super awesome. And then the last one was the Francis Henna Award for a school librarian with 5 years or fewer service for developing future leaders. And again, I got funds for that to come to this conference. So I'm just so grateful to be honored with that. And I love money, and I love money to come to conferences and hang out with awesome school librarians. So it's been amazing.
Well, and friends, I'll be candid. I pay for this conference out of pocket. If I don't get the support of the district I currently work in, it means I'm paying for it myself, my airfare, my registration. I happen to be sleeping on Amanda Jones's couch, which I'm very grateful, and I'm not exaggerating. But let me ask you, because a lot of people are like, oh, that could never happen to me. Could you give listeners an idea of how you had a hand in being considered for these awards? Because I think that we have to recognize that as librarians, we are always advocating for ourselves, and the information for these, recognition and also money awards is available on the website. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I just follow the social media and everything, and so I heard about them, and I mean, they were not super complicated applications. I think what helped me when I was writing them is of course I wanted the money to come to this conference, but I did try to frame it and see how I could bring back this information and how I could support the librarians in my district and how it would help my school, and really focused my essays on that aspect of what I was going to get out of it, how I was going to keep on keeping on.
Well, and I will be honest, I know you usually have to get a signature, an electrical signature from your administrator. It does show that you're putting a great deal of initiative and good out there into the world. I give you a lot of credit because you take the time to do this, and it always requires work, whatever we do. But clearly you're motivated by an incredible passion for our profession.
Yes, and I mean, with my principal, I had to get a letter of recommendation from her, so I just made sure to ask as soon as possible for that. And then also when I won money to go to this conference, it was very easy to be like, so I got all this money to pay for everything else. Can I have a substitute? Can I have the professional leave? And she was really kind and gave that to me. So that's a very small ask compared to like thousands of dollars to go to Tampa.
Well, let's remember that when we make our administrators look good, they have to ask themselves, the reason why this is happening is because I have a phenomenal school librarian in my school. I value you, and you're raising the profile of what all of us do every day. Molly Dettmann, I am so grateful that we got to cross paths. I'm grateful that you're here. Thank you so much. Have a great conference.
Thank you so much.
So my name is Annie Allardyce, and I live in Vermont. I teach Rigma Cott Central School in South Burlington, Vermont. We have about 450 kids, K through 5, actually pre-K through 5. I teach K through 5, about 30 classes a week.
So, friends, I just learned recently that Annie this is her very first AASL. This is my second AASL, my 17th year in the profession. But, Annie, how long have you been a school librarian?
This is only my second year as a school librarian. So I'm fortunate that this conference fell right as I'm starting up, and in this controversial state of Florida, not the librarians, of course, but politics. But I was also a classroom teacher for 14 years before I became a librarian.
Fantastic. Well, it takes a lot of work to get us here to a conference. Can you give listeners an idea of what it was that really sort of decided for you that this was something you were willing to investigate? You are a rookie in the school library, but what was it that helped you decide, this is important to me, I'm going to make it a priority, and I'm going to make this happen?
Well, I went to the New Hampshire State Conference where actually you presented, and it was fantastic. And networking there just made me realize how much more I need to connect with other librarians, being the only in the building. I do have a fantastic assistant, but again, we are the only ones that do our job. So I looked at AASL, and Donna McDonald is my colleague in the district, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what I can do to pull some strings and get there, and I am so thrilled to be here. It's been everything I hoped for and more.
Well, and friends, I've said it out loud several times, is that one of my biggest professional regrets is that I waited 5 years before I went to a state conference and 15 years before I went to a national conference. What a missed opportunity. I see this as an investment in myself as a professional. So, Annie, let me guess, what is it that you're hoping to get out of this? Do you have anything that's on your radar? And, what are the kinds of things that you're excited to see here at this conference today?
Absolutely. I came with a couple things in mind. I really, really wanted to connect with authors. I really try to incorporate that into my lessons in the library and get authors to seem like they're normal people with normal lives, that you want to know their stories and why they write what they write. So I had a priority to see lots of authors, and also I really have a goal of learning how to push more nonfiction in my library, because it's an overwhelming section for me, and I want to do better with that. So I've gone to a couple great sessions, but I've really gotten a lot out of it.
So, friends, I'll be sure to include a link to our nonfiction advocate episode with Melissa Stewart. She is here and so fantastic. But, you know, Annie, I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm glad you're here because I recognize that you really hope to be that sort of rock star librarian that your building deserves.
Thank you so much. I love the podcast. I listen all the time.
Be sure to make some time for our show notes today, anything that we referenced in our conversations, as well as the presentations I participated in, I'll be sure to include in our show notes. If you found this episode helpful, please share it out with your team, your PLN, and on social media. Be sure to follow on your favorite podcatcher so you'll never miss an episode. And if you really like listening today, consider leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Reviews help others find us. One last friendly reminder, friends, use the code UNITED to take advantage of Capstone's generous $20 discount off an order of $100 or more, and librarians who book their very first Literati Book Fair for the upcoming school year and mention the code UNITED when booking may qualify to receive a $500 gift card to Titlewave. Visit the link in today's show notes and call the Literati team to see if you qualify. The topic of our next episode has yet to be finalized, but I can guarantee I will use this space to spotlight a school librarian sharing resources and strategies you can hopefully use in your space today. I hope you will tune in.